Let's get things started. Hey guys, Hattopy here. Now, I know what all two of you might be thinking. Hey, you said you were going to review Xenoblade Chronicles X first. What's this? Well, I did say that, but a few things sort of happened that made me want to change the priorities that I've been working on these videos, despite me usually wanting to go in order that I played them in. Firstly, I got this awesome shirt in that I ordered, and it's awesome, it's fantastic, I love it, and it just invigorated me to want to talk about this game. Second is that it is also probably the last biggest game that I've actually completed, so it's still fairly fresh in my head. Thirdly is that I think it's kind of important to take the information from Xenoblade 1 and 2 and apply them to X just to grasp how different that game is in quality compared to the other two. And, finally, the more exciting question to try to answer right now really is which one is better, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or Xenoblade Chronicles 2? When Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was announced, I'll admit, I got very excited, but a part of me was wary since the blunder that was Xenoblade X. Then came the release date of the exact same year, and I got heavily suspicious, especially after later trailers, no English voiceovers were being presented, and I had a nervous feeling that it wouldn't or even shouldn't meet its holiday deadline, just to make sure everything about the game came out clean. But a friend of mine assured me that it probably will come out when it's supposed to, despite my saying it'll probably get delayed, especially with how slow of progress the game seemed to be and how poor Monolith Soft has been with distributing their games. But lo and behold, here we are, and it actually came out when it was supposed to. Monolith kept their word. So today, let's take a look at Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That doesn't have a title on it anywhere. That one does. Can't see it, but you can also see it. So, Xenoblade Chronicles stars Rex, a young salvager, a person who dives into the expansive Cloud Sea to collect treasures. The Cloud Sea makes up the majority of the world, called Allrest, except for the plentiful amount of Titans that the many different races inhabit. However, there's uncertainty in the air since many Titans continue to die off at a faster rate than they can reappear, killing off or displacing whole civilizations. Rex, however, has a dream to hopefully help the human race by finding a way to Elysium at the top of the World Tree, a large stalk at the center of Allrest, despite it being nigh impossible to reach. After salvaging one day, Rex visits the Argentum Trade Guild to sell his wares when he is summoned by the leader of the guild, Chairman Bana, saying that some people have asked specifically for Rex in aid of a salvaging assignment. In walks Malos, Nia, and Jin, drivers with their blades accompanying them, offering Rex a hefty sum of money to join their expedition of a ship that was discovered in the Cloud Sea that the group wants to investigate. Rex, hardly ever backing down from a challenge, accepts, with him eventually growing a small connection with Nia during the trip over. After the salvagers bring the ship up for the group to investigate, the group specifically asks that Rex accompanies them inside the ship to investigate, much to Rex's curiosity. After battling some monsters along the way, the party reaches a large door at the bottom of the ship that appears locked, but when Rex touches the device, the door opens before him. Inside, Rex finds a sword upon a pedestal and a female blade encapsulated behind it. Despite Jin's calls not to touch the blade, Rex touches it by accident, causing something to happen, forcing Jin to stab Rex through the heart, killing him, with Nia looking on in shock. The group then proceeds to collect the blade and leave. However, Rex doesn't entirely die. He wakes up in an expansive field with the female blade at the top of the hill looking out in the distance. The girl explains what happened to Rex and introduces herself as Pyra. She then offers Rex a chance to be revived using a bit of her life force if he will help her reach Elysium. Since it means living and achieving one of his lifelong dreams, Rex obviously agrees, and he resonates fully with Pyra, with her stating that he's now the driver of the Aegis. Rex and Pyra awaken and they do battle with Malos and Jin, with Nia intervening trying to calm her allies and protect Rex. Before the group gets attacked by some big warships, Gramps Rex's Titan companion home thing, swoops in to save the group, getting mortally wounded in the process and crash landing on the Gourmand Titan, reverting back to its larval state. Rex and Pyra reassure their goals and set out to find Nia. And from there, your journey gets to truly begin. Recruit a colorful group of allies, resonate with a wide array of blades to utilize in combat, explore the vast array of titans that inhabit Allrest, and learn some long-hidden secrets about the world, drivers and blades, and each other. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 story is pretty good for the most part. There's a lot of times throughout the story, though, that the best response to something happening is, okay, how or why is this happening? And even the few times that I can kind of grasp what's going on, they go in very roundabout means of explaining it. And encapsulating all of that is your party members. Unfortunately, that too has seemed to have taken a hit as well in terms of consistency. I wouldn't say that alone they're bad characters, but the problem comes in that too many of them play the archetype of either whimsical, aggressive, or stupid. The first game had no less than 3 of your party members that felt like they kept the more flightier characters a little more grounded in reality without sacrificing potential character development for everyone. Here though, and keep in mind I'm only talking about drivers, I'm going to get into blades in a little bit, but there's really only one character in the form of Morag that actually acts like a level-headed individual. And in her case, really, it kind of sucks because it's almost akin to a very young babysitter taking care of a room of sugar-induced 4-year-olds. It's not really ideal. To be fair, everyone does sort of get little bits of serious character development, but it's not enough. Granted, you do also have blades that act as integral characters, and at least for the ones important to the story, they do serve as a sort of moral compass for most of them. However, since they inherently are tools to the drivers, the gravity of their influence feels significantly weaker. But let me stress in the end, yes, Xenoblade 2's story is pretty good, emotional even sometimes. I just think the characters are a bit weaker than the first game. What certainly isn't weaker though is everything that makes up the game as a whole. Firstly, the visual style is fantastic. The first game settled for a more realistic representation of its characters, and with the hardware it had, it looked nice. Xenoblade X had a decent looking landscape, but horrible character models, but I'll get more into that in a different video. Xenoblade 2 has a more anime-esque art style. Colors are much more vibrant and expressions even bigger. Granted, rendered cutscenes mouth syncing is absolutely atrocious and gets fairly distracting sometimes, making the static up and down motion of in-game ones seem more on point, but overall, it's a fairly minor gripe with the animation. And yet, the world itself has this beautiful image that leaps out at you like a wonderfully drawn painting, and I can never get enough of it. And even the variety of the locales also works really well, considering you are exploring individual titans with their own climates and modes of transportations, giving a better sense of the variety in its nature than what the first game mostly accomplished with its 2 larger titans. And this game's music, dare I say, I feel is better than the first one. I was mostly following the wave of internet influence when I got to my first experience of Xenoblade 1's music, and disregarding that, it's still really good. I'd even say it has the better unique monster fight of the 2. But Xenoblade 2 ups the ante with its music, leaving a lasting impression on me with nearly every track spanning nearly every scenario that deemed it necessary to use it. With particular shout out to arguably Xenoblade 2 main theme, Counterattack, and my personal favorite regular fight theme, Exploration. But now let's talk about the meat and potatoes of this experience, the combat. And whoo boy, if that's like the basis for the quote, then in this case it's like mountains of roast beef and potatoes due to serve like 20 people. I apologize outright if it feels like I'm missing stuff. I'm really only aiming to talk about the main differences from the first game to the second one. If it feels like there's some stuff that I should have brought up, it was probably in the first one, or if not, then leave a comment down below and I'll probably message back. It's usually what I do. But regardless, let's talk about the kinds of things that you need to use to get ready to go into battle, starting with the big one. So, as I just said, you have blades that you can acquire and take into battle. There are a bunch that you get through the story, but you get the bulk of them through random summonings. Yes, like many money-grubbing gacha systems set in mobile games, you collect a variety of types of core crystals that range in 3 different rates for getting rare blades. Now, there's a positive outlook and a negative outlook to this. The positive one is that there's no micropayments. Good. The negative one, though, is that when you draw a unique blade, that means that the pool shrinks, but the percentages doesn't shift. In fact, it actually gets smaller to drawing new ones, regardless of the type of core that you end up using. So you could still end up using like the highest rate legendary core crystals, and the odds of them, especially around the earlier parts of the game after getting a few, actually gets harder to getting unique blades, and it blows. While they do level up in battle, earning new skills and stat buffs along the way, you can send them out on special little side missions that take real world time to complete. And by doing so, you can earn money and some experience depending on the team you send out. So regardless of the blade you do get, you will usually find some use for them. Regardless of the blades you get, each one hosts a specific weapon and element. Each weapon hosts a specific archetype of either a tank, damage dealer, or healer. Each driver can host up to 3 different blades of any of those typings. What combination you use give different stats and ability shifts to the driver, exception being Tora and Poppy, but in their case all you do is earn different parts that affect Poppy's abilities. So you pick your blades with 3 drivers and go into battle. Immediately you'll see that things have slightly changed from the first game. Instead of 1 set of arts, each blade has 3 arts as well as a super art. You move in to fight and you perform auto attacks as long as your weapon allows the range. Doing so, though, you have to be placed in one spot and can't move while your character performs a 3-hit combo. You can combo your arts by timing them after an auto attack, and the potency of its strength increases based on which attack in the combo you use. Using arts charges your super art, and that can be charged to 3 different levels. By doing well in battle, though, you can tighten your bond with the blade you have out and can increase the level 1 more into their signature attack. By using special arts, eventually increasing their level from the 1st all the way to the 3rd or 4th level in a specific order based on the element, you leave behind an orb, with each orb administering a certain debuff to the enemy. Why is that important? Say hello to your new goal during chain attacks. When initiating chain attacks, you pick one of your blades to do an attack. If you hit them with an element that's strong against an elemental orb, then it'll specifically target that orb and deal extra damage. If not, it'll just hit a random orb for less damage. By shattering an orb, you can extend your chain attacks past the normal 3 attacks. If you can do it 4 times, then you not only raise the damage dealt during each attack, but the final one is an ultra powerful attack that unleashes a massive amount of damage. It's the strategy you'll always strive to go for in battles, but a lower tier one is the increased toppling combo. Now instead of ending on a daze, you can launch a toppled enemy and then smash them to the ground, in which case items, money, and healing pots will drop for you to pick up. And that's basically the gist of the combat. It's much slower than the first game, that's for sure. What with all the constant switching blades to suit the situation at hand or having to stay still to perform the auto attacks. It does create a more tactical approach to combat though, since you have to always be maintaining attention to what your character is doing as well as what the enemy is doing at that time as well. However, there's much less of a need for a variety of playstyles. Unlike Shulk, Rex is almost always needed in the party for the kinds of things he brings to the table, and since nearly every driver can take in any non-exclusive blade, you're better off just working solely on your favorite 3 and training them up. That being said though, since the blades are random, for me at least, I never got any that I wanted to use, like at all. By the end of the game, I end up using only blades that I gotten for free throughout the main story, which is a shame because a lot of these blades have some really neat designs and attributes, especially their designs, since a lot of the designs were done by artists from a variety of different video game companies and series. And outside of that, other little minor things really irked me in ways I know might not bug others, but I feel is still important to mention. You don't equip full sets of armor that changes your appearance like in the first game, which is a shame because Rex's default costume is easily the worst looking thing in the game. He does get a new one later in the game, but it's almost too little too late. Fighting really tough monsters that yield nicer rewards can be a pain, since instead of a treasure chest that appears upon their death, enemies drop a large amount of collectibles that you have to run over and get, meaning if it's over water or a cliff, you will never be able to pick up those items again. You cannot believe the amount of times I lost legendary core crystals because of that. And while the first game had a few sequences where fast travel breaks the immersion of the game pretty badly, this game does it far worse without really spoiling anything. And there is the expansion pass, which, to be fair, I don't think is as bad as how Fire Emblem Echoes handled its DLC. But Xenoblade 2 is largely just mundane little things like extra items, crystals, and whatnot that you can still get largely in-game, as well as side quests, which is kinda dumb, since those should have already been in the game. There is the main story quest that is coming though, and that does have me intrigued a little bit since what we got for a main story and conclusion wasn't half bad. So if this story expansion is any good, maybe that alone would cover the outright cost of the expansion pass and make everything else a nice little bonus rather than the core component, but I can only dream. So to fully answer the question, no, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to me isn't better than the first one. It's leagues better than X though, that's for sure. But for me, the story in 2 was pretty good, and the art style and the music were just fantastic. But the characters surrounding the story and the combat that just felt so sluggish just really bogged it down for me. Kind of made it hard to fully enjoy it the way that I did for the first one. But I don't regret buying it, that's for sure. I mean, heck, I can't really. I mean, I bought the special edition and it looks super fantastic. And even has Best Girl on here too. Oh, which one you asked? Oh, right, sorry. Clearly, Best Girl is. But anywho, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw, maybe click right up here to check out some of my other videos. Or if you really feel like it, click right up here to subscribe. And next time, for sure, without a doubt, we're going to take a look at Xenoblade Chronicles X. Until next time then, though, I will see you all later.